How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. A little bit of a Brut IPA time in the form of Ecliptic Brewing. It is their Star Party, but this is the Lemon and Lavender edition. I reviewed their Star Party, their Brut IPA, a couple months ago, and I dug it. I dug it quite a bit. It was probably one of, if not the best Brut IPA I had at the time. So I'm kind of intrigued to give this one a whirl because I can get down with the Brut IPA if it's done right. A lot of people do them. Not a lot of people do them to where they kind of tickle me pink. But this has lemon and lavender in it. I can see that working, or I could see that going like totally wrong. Lavender's a cool flavor to play with. I can dig on it, but you get a little too heavy-handed, and it gets a little too soapy for you. Now, you're talking about lemon. It's typically not something you see in a lot of beer. Sure, you use saisons, you get lemony vibes and a lot of hops, but to use just straight lemon in the beer, lemon zest, sure, that's fine. But they've also been doing a kind of a brewer series. I think it's 5 something. I forget what it was. I reviewed it. And the first beer of that series, they actually sent me. It was a collaboration between Brewing and Ecliptic. And it was, I believe it was a tangerine, some tangerine hef maybe, wheat beer. And that fruited portion of the show came off very, very synthetic for me. So we'll see what happens with this one. 8% alcohol by volume, and I think that's it. Oh no, Star Party explodes with a primordial hop characters set against the background as dry clean as the void of space. Raise a glass and join the party. Yeah, 2019 edition, done and done. To the old bottle opener. Give it a whirl. See what the sucker has to offer. So, Brut IPA. Imperial Brut IPA. We're expecting, a lot of kind of tartness on this one, I would assume. Residual tartness? Is that what we're trying to work towards here? Explanation-wise, basically, you're talking about a beer that's going to have a decent portion of the sweetness dropped out, while at the same time adding those lemon and tart vibes to it. That lavender even come off a little bit soapy, so kind of curious to see what's up. Super tight compact bubbles, and she's got that big haze on her. She looks like a big old hazy beer. Let's see what the nose has. It's kind of getting towards where I thought it would be, which would be like a non-sour, slightly tart, almost like I don't even want to go saison, because you're talking about saison. First thing that pops into my head is maybe a tartness with a little bit of acidity, but at the same time this kind of soft pepperiness, this kind of richness, kind of yeast ester that's going to give you a little bit more on top of what you're getting in the base malts and hops of a saison. You're not getting that kind of spiciness. You're not getting that even a little bit of funkiness that you can get from saison, but you're getting that tartness. That lemon is definitely showing. There's a soft lavender vibe in there that doesn't come off soapy at all, but it's definitely there. It's present, but not overpowering whatsoever. Yeah, and the hops are very gentle. It reminds me very much of a lemon drop top beer at this point. How the lemons are coming off very light, very refreshing. They talked about this being a kind of a Brut IPA. It's smelling a lot like a kettle sour without the sour, if that makes any sense to your brain. It has all those kind of light, not even fluffy, bright, kind of summery notes to it without any of that kind of jarringness. It almost like it has the edges kind of sanded down. So, kind of curious. Let's dive in. Cheers. Okay. I think that's what they call a rattler. Yeah, that's really how it comes out for me. There's a sweetness to it. It's not bone dry. It's not sweet. There's a sweetness to it. You definitely get that lemon in there. And it doesn't come off like fresh squeezed lemon, but it doesn't come off nearly anywhere close to being synthetic. There's a slight acidity to it, a slight sweetness, almost lemonade-like. Kind of the Radler thing going on in there. The lavender. I could talk myself into it, but it's not present. There's a soft floral character. I don't know if that's the hops at play, but you can attribute that to the lavender. But it doesn't come off like a perfumey or soapy or anything like that. It's very subtle. This whole beer drinks more like 4% than 8%, so it definitely comes off way smaller than the actual beer itself. And it has this cool kind of slightly grainy, slightly nutty maltiness to it, which I really dig in this kind of beer, because your brain is expecting something totally different, but you're getting that in there. I don't hate this beer. I don't knee-jerk love it either. It doesn't come off as like a next level, amazing, otherworldly, changing beer to me. But I kind of like it. The only thing I don't like about it is that I've had this beer before. I've had something very, very close to this beer, and it's been like 4%. It does not need to be 8%. It's almost like, if you make all left turns in a certain area, you can eventually end up where you want to go, but it's going to take you twice as long. That's kind of how this kind of comes off. You're adding that enzyme, the Brut enzyme to it. You're doing an IPA, an Imperial IPA version, but then you're adding these light and fluffy acidic things, and you dry it out, and you bring it down to a point where it drinks kind of like a kettle sour without an overt tartness. And I'm like, why don't you just make a kettle sour then that isn't really all that acidic or tart? But that's just me. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's fun. I think it's playful. I think it's good. But at the same time, I just wanted to be 4%. I'll tell you this. That fruited portion of the show, when it came to that collab with Brooklyn, really kind of turned me off. I mean, it was so synthetic. The last beer I had from them, I'll probably post that one the same time I post this one. It was like, I believe it was like a summer heffy kind of beer. The way that fruit portion of the show played in that redeemed the brewery quite a bit, in my personal opinion. And this definitely goes a step further. Again, not that I love the beer, but the way it's coming off is definitely a fun, real, rich, organic kind of way. And I dig it. So taking cuts. This is kind of the same thing I talk about when it comes to a lot of breweries I love, whether it be Rushing Duck or Hop Butcher for the World, or those kind of breweries where it's like, I'm okay with you not making a beer that I think is the best beer I've ever had in my life, or even close to it. But as long as you take these chances and you do these kind of things with beer, then you're going to have me. You're going to have my attention. And that's all I want, really. It's just for you guys to pique my interest. And this one does. So let's talk about it. Is this one of the better Brut IPAs that I've had as of late? I'd almost default to that because I haven't had so many. They've been falling off now that everybody's done one. But on the grand scheme of things, since they've been coming out for the past year or so, it's definitely not at the top, but it's definitely not down at the bottom. It's definitely towing the middle of the line, and not anywhere close than the original one they put out. Value and availability, no idea. I have no idea their footprint or their price point, so if somebody can let us know down there, that would be awesome. And leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you just like drier IPAs with a fruited kick, or you like Berliners and kettle sours and you just don't want that sour portion of the show, that's where this one lands, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So there you go, another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully enjoying this little Brut IPA right now, and hopefully see you next time. Cheers.